everybody? How are y'all doing today? Yeah, awesome. Y'all just made me feel a little bit better. I'm nervous. My name is Coach Kyndal Ray, aka A Walking Testimony. Since January 1st, 2022, I've been walking across the United States of America for mental health awareness and recovery in remembrance of beautiful souls that are no longer with us due to mental health and or recovery issues, for the ones still struggling as well. From the original day that I started, I brought one edition of a shirt that had 180 names with a walking testimony at the top on the front, the journey of a lifetime at the top on the back. 90 names on the front, 90 names on the back, a total of 180 beautiful souls that are no longer with us due to mental health and or recovery issues. Even though they are no longer with us, they are still being remembered and getting the journey of a lifetime, where that 180 specifically stands for taking a 180-degree turn in the opposite direction from the things that are taking the people that we love and care about. Sadly enough, after I finished Coast to Coast, people asked me to do more editions. This right here is 10 editions of the shirt. That is the 11th edition. This is 1,800 names of beautiful souls that are no longer with us due to mental health and or recovery issues. Now, I haven't put it out yet. Yesterday, we just got enough names to fill up the 12th edition. I just did the math. That is 2,160 names of people that have been submitted just for me to bring across America with me. We don't just walk for the names on this banner. It's all of our loved ones in general, everybody in general. But the cool thing is we are all still here. We all have a story that we can share in the future moving forward, and you never know who your story might inspire. So a little bit about me. I am walking across America, but I'll do a little backstory. I grew up in the church. I wasn't born in a broken household. My parents are still married. Anybody that was, I'm sorry to anybody that ever had to go without experiencing the love and care that we all properly deserve. Just know that you are all loved and cared about, and I don't have to know you to tell you that I love and care about you, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. But I grew up in the church, born and raised every Sunday, Monday, Wednesday night in the church, any events. I went to private school for a while. My first year of public school was 5th grade. Sadly enough, I was sexually abused at a very young age in the church. That led to part of my depression that I'll tell you about coming up here in a few minutes. But I learned how to play music in the church. I used to lead a church praise band. I used to write praise songs in the church. And then it was actually somebody that was in that church praise band with me was the first person I ever got high with and went down a very destructive path very quickly. Even before I even got involved in drugs and everything like that, at a young age, I was a very overweight kid. I think I was 12 years old. I wore like size 36 men's pants. I weighed like 198 pants. I was not comfortable with myself. I had no self-esteem, and that with what had happened in the church just kind of led to a big series of depression. That my freshman year of high school, I ended up saving up my lunch money, buying a gun from a kid at school, going to the apartment complex that we lived in. There was these garages that kind of, the backs of the garages are like these woods behind there. I went behind the garages and I had this talk with myself, and I told myself that I didn't want to be here anymore. So I decided to put that gun to my head, and I pulled the trigger, but nothing happened. Another second later, I was trying to figure out, slapping the gun around, whatever, ended up shooting forward, and the gun fired. At that point, I realized that I was here for a reason. I threw the gun, probably still in the woods somewhere, went back to my room and cried myself to sleep. I didn't really understand the purpose that I had. I didn't necessarily still want to be there, but for a moment, I knew that I was supposed to be there for a reason. I think just a few weeks later, I got nailed by a car walking home from school. It's kind of weird that I walking across America as a pedestrian. I got nailed by a car. It was wild. But ended up going down this crazy path. So when it comes to addiction, for me, before I ever even knew what drugs or substances or anything like that was, I was addicted to lying and stealing at a very, very young age. We lived at this Atlantic self-storage out in Florida, where my parents managed the office, but there's an apartment above the stairs, and we lived there for 6 years. There's a lot of people that were overseas or lived out of state that had to store their stuff that couldn't be there to pay their bills every month. I got a hold of a binder that had hundreds of people's credit card numbers. I just buy a ton of stuff on the internet. I ended up developing a huge porn addiction, which wasn't healthy either. And just going down a destructive path out, I ended up having access to all these credit cards. I ended up using my mom's credit card, and then she put two and two together while all these people were calling and saying that their cards are being canceled and stuff like that. I ended up coming home from school one day, and my mom had found like a notebook with all these little pieces of paper with all these credit card numbers and people's names and everything like that. I had to tell some of these people like face to face at a very young age, like, I stole your credit card, this is what I bought with it. That was a very embarrassing situation, but I just had a problem with stealing and lying. I couldn't tell the truth. Fast forward to getting high with my buddy in church, and then just going down an extra bad, destructive lifestyle. My buddy ended up joining like just a local gang in the neighborhood. I thought that was cool. I wanted to be a part of that. I never officially joined a gang, but I started doing all this stuff. I started robbing people, breaking into houses with a group of people, doing stupid stuff, breaking into cars. And then I was always stealing from my family, and that was always wrong, and it was never right to steal from anybody else, but I just went down this destructive lifestyle of making other people victims that they shouldn't have been made victims to the things that I was doing. Kept landing myself in and out of county jail. And first time that I did a long period of time, I did a year in the county jail, and that's actually where this journey originated. 2013, I was doing a year for pawning some stolen stuff and doing some stupid stuff. Came across this newspaper article. It was titled "America on Foot," about a guy named Harrison Melanian who would walk from Tallahassee, Florida to Laguna Beach, California. I fell in love with the story, knew I wanted to walk across America. I got out early 2014. I found the man on social media, and I was like, hey, this journey inspired me. I would love to go do a journey like that. Like, what do you recommend? Any advice? And he said, absolutely. It was a life-changing journey for the better. Met a lot of good people, had a lot of good experiences. The only thing I would have done different was walk for a cause. So at that point, I was like, okay, cool. I go on Facebook. I'm like, guys, January 1st, 2015, I'm going to take off with my feet in the Atlantic Ocean, Jacksonville Beach, Florida. I'm going to walk to California. I need causes that I can walk for. Boiled down to two totally different causes that were relevant to my life. I'm not perfect. I still smoke cigarettes to this day, and I was trying to walk for lung cancer, and I was smoking 2 packs a day at the time. It just kind of, it didn't make sense. And if I boil it down, I can kind of relate that to my recovery, because obviously I didn't want to walk across the country bad enough that I did the stuff I had to make it happen. In recovery, there was many times I was in and out of rehab and on probation and drug classes and all that stuff. But the thing is I like the idea of recovery. I wanted a relationship with my family. I wanted to be able to work a job. I wanted to be able to pass the drug test that I needed to pass, but I wasn't ready to give up the substance. Just like I wanted to walk across America. I wanted to go see all the stuff that America had to offer. I wanted to go meet cool people, but I wasn't ready to give up the lifestyle that was leading me down a path of destruction, even possibly to an early grave. So I ended up getting put on probation from a crazy situation that happened, and got locked up, bonded out like a month later, put on probation. That was going to push my walk back like halfway through the next year, 2015. January 1st, 2015, instead of preparing myself to get off probation and walk across America, I broke into a post office, stole a bunch of people's mail, and I went to prison. Ended up doing 18 months with 2 years of probation, got in trouble in prison for smoking K2 actually, which was my biggest drug of choice back in the day, was over-the-counter cough medicine and synthetic marijuana that I could buy from a gas station. And I had crazy withdrawals, and I had got off of that stuff, but I got back in prison, and one night, it was my bunky's birthday the next morning, we decided to smoke a blunt of some stuff that was laced with whatever. That night was bad for me. The next morning we're walking to breakfast, and I don't know if anybody's been locked up here specifically, but you walk in a single file line in prison to breakfast. And I had to tell the person behind me, like, hey, like, I need you to help me because my eyesight's going out. Like, I could feel my eyesight going black. And he was like, what are you talking about? I was like, I can't see. I need you to like grab my shoulders and help walk me. At one point, I woke up and there was a flashlight in my eyes right next to me. My bunkie was there with the flashlight in his eyes. I had blacked out, and instead of taking a turn, and dude didn't end up helping me turn, I walked right into a grass area and started walking in circles, they told me, and it was like right in front of the lieutenant's window. So like I got in trouble, I went to confinement. They ended up taking me from an adult camp, taking me to a youth offender camp, which I was like too old to be sentenced to a youth offender camp at that time, to a boot camp program that if you do this boot camp program in 120 days and don't mess up, you can release from prison early and just start your probation. I was supposed to be released to a rehab facility. I got in trouble, went to this boot camp program early, got out of prison early, released to the streets because you can't release from this program to another program. They had to release you to the streets to your probation officer. So once again, another slap on the wrist. And I got out, I violated my probation 3 times. I had a full-time job and I was working, but I was peeing dirty for THC. And at that time, my judge didn't have a problem with that. He had a problem with all the other stuff. And he was like, you know what? You've been paying your fines and all of that. We're just gonna drop your probation with a whole year left and you're a free man. That doesn't happen. He said, I don't wanna see you back in my courtroom. Excuse me. So I ended up right back in his courtroom a couple months later, which was nuts. Excuse me, sorry. So I got out on probation. My parents had just bought a new house. We'd only been there for maybe 2 months. When all this situation happened, I was right back to doing the same old thing, hanging out with the same old people. Me and my friend were doing a lot of acid and cocaine in my parents' garage. Ended up leaving to walk to the gas station like really late at night. Came back, my parents had locked the back door to the garage out. So I ended up climbing through a side window in the garage to go inside. My mom came out, she's like, what are y'all doing? She's like, y'all need to go. I'm like, no, like we're gonna hang out here, like whatever. Like I was trying to make the decisions at my family's house. Ended up getting to a big argument. My dad, who's been disabled for like most of my life, he came out there. We got in a big argument. I was being completely belligerent. I was completely in the wrong. My dad went to go pick up a guitar to hit me with at one point, and my co-defendant grabbed the guitar. He's like, no, nobody's doing that. This big argument back and forth. And then my dad picked up the guitar again. And he went to go swing it at me, and it missed me, and it hit my mom in the nose and broke her nose. So now my mom's leaking, and I'm tripping. I'm on a bunch of coke, and I just started beating my dad. At one point, I stopped it, and then I just started walking around the house, and my dad kept trying to come at me. At one point, my co-defendant pushed him, and I had like a 2-liter Mountain Dew in my hand that I was just like trying to chug, and I was mad, just yelling. And I threw it, and the second he hit the ground, like the bottle hit his head, and his head just smacked the concrete really hard. Like I watched his eyes roll in the back of his head. I had to go give my dad like chest compressions and mouth to mouth while my mom's on the phone with the cops, like telling me that I'm going to hell. My mom's like the most Christian lady. For her to say that to anybody it was just crazy to hear those words come out of her mouth to me, out of anybody. So my dad ended up regaining his consciousness like right before the cops got there. I went to jail on the domestic. Of course, I couldn't go back to the house after I got bonded out from the girl I was dating at the time. So I had an injunction. My mom was running a whole different storage facility. So she didn't like okay it, but she kind of suggested it to know where I would be. Like, hey, we have a storage unit. That's my code. So while I was kind of sleeping in her storage unit, I was breaking into other people's storage units. Ended up taking like this dude's really big guitar collection. I'm a musician myself. Breaking my heart that like I did that to somebody because I know how important a collection like that is now. But ended up taking this dude's guitar collection, and at the same time, me and 2 other people went and kicked in a drug dealer's store who I didn't know that one of my co-defendants with 2 other people went to the same drug dealer's store exactly a month before and held them up with shotguns and took their guns and everything. So these people had cameras. We kick in the door, alarm hits, we run. A few weeks later, I get caught up with that and camera footage of me like walking out of my mom's building with a guitar, putting it in my ex-girlfriend's car. So everything kind of linked up to me being involved in both of those situations. I go to jail, and I caught 5 years. I was facing the PRR, Prison Release Reoffender Act, where if you get out within a certain amount of time, I think it's 3 years, and you catch certain charges, if the state's attorney wants to, they can file it, and nobody can really do anything about it. And you have to do a minimum mandatory sentence. Minimum mandatory for armed burglary is 15 years, day for day, with no gain time. And at first, that's what I was facing. State's attorney ended up showing me grace and mercy and just giving me the 5 years with gain time. In the courtroom, my mom said, begged my judge to sentence me to rehab. Like, Your Honor, we know you're giving him 5 years, but please give him some extra on top of that. And I'm like, Mom, like, chill. Like, I don't need all that extra. Like, I'm already doing 5 years, you know what I'm saying? And my judge, and this is one of the things I appreciated for the wrong reason at the time. My judge said, you know, he's been in inpatient rehab before. He's violated probation every single time he's been on it, and that was like 11 plus times. He's like, obviously he has people that care about him. I had people that wrote character reference letters for me, family members, church friends, people I worked with and stuff like that. People put in a good word for me. So he was like, obviously he has a support system. He's like, this man's not going to get right unless he wants to get right. So at first I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing like extra time after prison. I'll be a free man. And I was happy about it, but for the wrong reasons. 2.5 years in the prison. I've been in fights, bringing stuff through the gate, doing stupid stuff, risking my time. I didn't. If anybody ever tells you that going to prison is for correctional purposes, it's not the truth. Drugs are just as easy, if not easier, to get a hold of in prison than they are on the streets, because it's just what bunk do you go to in the dorm you were in, kind of thing. So I didn't do a lot of drugs in prison, but I did here and there, a handful of times, I did something, a little substance. And one day it was an argument with somebody that was trying to give me something for free, and it was an argument over something stupid, something different. I was like, you just have that. I didn't even want to talk to him. And it was a couple days later that I realized, I was like, you know what, I just don't think I want to do drugs anymore. Something snapped and clicked in my head and said that I didn't want to do it anymore. There was a couple other added factors. So that time that I beat my dad basically to death on the garage floor, I hadn't seen him in person for a long time. He was supposed to come visit me on my birthday like 2 years after it happened, and he didn't come on my birthday, and I was mad. The very next week, or a week or two later, he did show up. Me and him reconnected. So within a week of that happening, he connected, me and this dude got in an argument, and I got clean. So subconsciously, I think there was definitely some emotional healing with repairing relationships with my family in the process of that. That's something I didn't even catch at the time. My mom pointed that out to me last year. She's like, like your dad came and saw you a week before that. And I was like, wow, that had to have played a part. So I decided to change my life. That depression I had dealt with when I was younger with being, just overweight and stuff, I didn't like it. In prison, just sitting there all that time, just eating, not doing anything. I had gained all that weight again. My metabolism wasn't very high, and my nickname from the people I would joke around with, instead of just being Kyndal, it was BBK, which stood for Bad Bodied Kyndal. And I absolutely hated it so much, but I would still laugh and joke around. And the same people, the dude that was basically my bunkie was like the most elite workout person on the compound. This dude would go so hard. This dude's doing like 5-minute miles every day, just nuts. But this group of people, they would invite me to come work out with them. And they were intimidating to work out with. I would watch people go out there one day and never go back out there with them again. And I definitely wasn't in the shape that some of these people going out there to work out with them and not work out with them again are in. But I decided to go out there. The first day, I think, was a leg day. And while everybody's doing weighted squats, I'm just sitting over the side doing squats by myself, feeling embarrassed, but at the same time, I'm out there getting it in. That first week, they did a timed mile. My first week with them, I think my time mile was 12 minutes and 30 seconds or something like that. My fastest mile with them within that year was 5 minutes and 57 seconds. I shredded so much weight in 2 months that my nickname went from BBK to Roger from American Dad, because my head was too big for my body and I hadn't put into it right by the time. And I'm not playing, seriously, people were like, hey, Roger, what's up? I'm like, hey, whatever. But at the same time, it felt good. I learned to write goals for myself. One thing I always thought was stupid was writing down goals. Why would I want to write something I'm going to do? Why not just think it and go do it? But I didn't realize the importance of writing something and looking at it over and over and actually forcing myself to put it into play. I decided to do a 30-day goal that somebody recommended. I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. So I put it into 3 Gs. I did a God first, and those were my spiritual goals. I did a go hard, those were my physical goals, and then I did a grow up, and those were my mental goals. I'd force myself to meditate, force myself to work out, force myself to do my own spiritual walk with my higher power. So it got to the point where when I would meditate, I would put in headphones, because I'm in a dorm with 70 men, it's not quiet. I'd put in headphones and I would sit Indian style in my bed and I'd put the headphone jack under my pillow, but it wasn't plugged into anything. I just wanted people to think I was listening to music so they wouldn't bother me. But I would close my eyes and sit there like the old school, I wouldn't say but I would sit there and just hold my hands like that, and I would just meditate and think on the things that I would want to happen in my life. And at that point, I hadn't really thought about walking across America, but I thought I want to be, physically, mentally, spiritually okay. I want to better myself. I want to be kinder. I want to be less petty about things. I'm a real hard-headed, real short-fused kind of person. Really quick to react. The other day, I had a situation, and this is where I know I've grown. And I will say that if I wasn't literally live streaming the whole situation, I probably would have reacted differently. I was treated kind of badly at a hotel out here. They thought I was something that I wasn't, and it was just a really bad situation. The cops ended up coming. The cop was really, really nice, thank the Lord. And these people, it kind of ruined their business when people saw how they were treated. The reviews took them from like a 4.9 to a 3.1 within an hour. Yeah, and I didn't mean for any of that to happen, but at the end of the day, I was treated wrong. Later on, and it probably because she got in trouble, but the lady called back and apologized, and I felt like it was a pretty sincere apology. She said that she was embarrassed and everything like that. She said she didn't understand the situation of what I was doing, and I know what she meant, but I asked her, like, what do you mean you didn't understand the situation? She was like, well, I went on and I saw your social media, and I realized that you are doing what you said. I was like, so my word wasn't good enough when I told you, or when you saw the sign on my cart that said Walking Across America? And she was like, no. And that just kind of struck me. And she was like, but we're so sorry, we want to offer you a couple of nights, like we really want to make this right, will you please come stay back at our hotel? I was like, people have already blessed me with nights at other place. I was like, but I accept your apology, thank you. I even got to go back in there the next day. I went and gave her a bracelet and some business cards. And she was like, what can we do for you? What can we do to make it right? I said, be kinder to the next person. Because you never know what anybody's going through. Say I was that person that you thought I was and you treated me like that, and that was just the final straw of being treated like that, and I went and jumped off of a bridge. And she was like, oh, no, don't you go jump off a bridge? I was like, no, I'm good. I've tried to take my life twice. I'm here for a reason. Like, and I told her that. I was like, I know I have a purpose. I said, but say I did do that. I was like, how would that make you feel? She's like, it wouldn't be good. I was like, no. I was like, you never know what anybody's going through. All those people that are in those situations, that's somebody's family member too. You don't want your family member to go through that. I was like, I understand you might not be able to accommodate certain people in certain situations, but it's nothing to tell them that they matter and that they're still loved and cared about. And that was like kind of a lesson that I really hope that she took something to heart, because there's so much hate in the world, and just people just hate on each other for how they look or how they dress or how they act. Depression and addiction don't discriminate on anybody, no matter what you look like, what kind of house you're raised in, how much money you got in your pocket, the shoes you wear, any of that. It's in every neighborhood, from the poorest of communities to the richest of communities. Look at that whole celebrity thing going on right now. Nobody is invincible. Nobody cannot be touched. We all gotta love each other on a daily basis and lift each other up. So, changing my life and in prison, just working so hard, working on myself, I learned to better myself. I'm still far from perfect. I still have a short fuse, but I handle it a lot differently now than I used to. My last year in prison, I was in a work release program. I wore an ankle monitor. I had a real job. I stayed at a facility. I had a 2-hour bus ride to work every day, and like a 2-mile walk back to the bus, another 2-hour ride back to the facility. I wasn't allowed to have a phone though. I wasn't supposed to be on social media, and I would say that was the only thing I really did wrong while I was in work release, was being on social media. But I use social media for positivity and not dramativity. I'm not on there trying to harass my exes or anything like that, trying to get the squad to pull up on me after work, like that. But I'm in work release, I'm on my phone, and every day I'm talking about my clean time and everything. Every month on the 12th, I'm talking, hey, I got another month drug-free, and all my friends, this is before I had my walking testimony, Facebook page and all that, for all my friends that have just seen me in and out, going down that spiral. Every time it's, Kyndal's back in jail, here's this thing if you want to ride. I hope saw that coming, like, oh, we knew that. Like, I'll go back and look through some of those comments, like, dang, like, they expected that out of me. And it kind of sucks to know that, but to see all these people, like, dude, you love what you're doing. There was one day that somebody messaged me, like, hey, you don't know who I am, but I've just been watching your page, and because of you, I'm like 90 days drug-free now. I'm like, what? That's crazy, bro. Like, congratulations. I didn't realize that me doing that would turn into something like this. Fast forward, I ended up talking to this girl who was pulling up on me at my job, and it didn't end up working out with her because the father of her baby had just got out of prison. She went back to him in that process. Both of them are in prison for murder now. I kind of dodged the bullet, literally. Sorry. Seriously, but and it sucks. I guess she just got a hold of social media recently and tried to send me a friend request. I'm like, nope. But you still matter. Everybody matters. But because of that situation, there was one day I was kind of bummed out of my office, and I was looking at this canvas painting on the wall, and it was the 7 continents. And then I just saw America, and then I look and I grab a pencil, and I was like, man, I was gonna walk from Florida to California one day. I was like, and I wasn't even like in good shape then. I was like, I'm a beast now. I bet I could go through the mountains of Colorado. So I was like, I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna go to Washington. I said, I think I'm gonna walk across America. Like, I'm in the best physical shape of my life. I got a little bit of money saved up, and I'm finally gonna be out. And in 10 years, I'll finally be a free man, like officially. I was like, what can I walk across America for? Being on social media, all those friends from the past, a lot of names from my school, kids I went to school with, are on these shirts. People started some, I said, guys, I want to walk in remembrance of people. You know, people send me some names. People, ask family members, get some permission. Tons of names started flooding in, so I'm like, wow, I can't put all of these names on a shirt. I'm gonna have to figure out. That's when I decided to use the 180 representation to be able to put 180 names on the shirt to stand for taking that 180-degree turn in the opposite direction. And the things taking the people that we love and care about, because there's somebody that my name should be on that shirt numerous times. I'm sure I'm not the only one in here that their name should be on a shirt or that banner more than once. That was a 180-degree turn I took in my own life. It was something that was mandatory for me to be standing here today. So that's what I did, and now we have 12 editions, 2,160 names of people that are being remembered, and it's our mothers, our fathers, our brothers, our sisters, sons, daughters, aunts, uncles, cousins, loved ones, best friends, spouses. It's such a real thing, and they say that you die twice. The first time is when they bury you in the grave, and the second time is the last time somebody mentions your name. That first time is always hard enough, and we don't want to see anybody out here go out to these causes right here when there is hope. And that's what I'm out here walking across America for. That's just a little bit about me and what I'm doing. I started Jacksonville Beach, Florida. I got out of prison November 6, 2021. After changing my life, less than 2 months later, January 1st, 2022, put my feet in the Pacific Ocean. I walked 13 states, 3,292 miles across America to Long Beach, Washington, where I put my feet in the Pacific Ocean. April 12, 2023, which also doubled as my 4-year drug-free date. Next month, I will be 5.5-year drug-free. Biggest accomplishment of my life. Great time for a sip. From Long Beach, Washington, I walked up to Cape Flattery, Washington, to the most northwestern point of the lower 48 states. On my way back down to Long Beach, Washington, I met some bikers that were biking all 4 corners of America. And at that point, I was like, you know what? I think I want to walk to all 4 corner points. So decided that I was going to walk down to Borderfield State Park in San Diego. Now I'm going to head back to Florida, down to the Keys and up to Maine. I finished the entire West Coast on August 4th, took a month off, did a little bit of stuff. Started September 10th, Imperial Beach, my feet in the Pacific Ocean, and heading back across. So that's what's going on, guys. And I'm just out here to tell people, if any of y'all saw the sign on the front of my car, it says you matter. That's the biggest thing. You never know what anybody's going through, and I want to tell people that they matter and that we do recover. As somebody who is literally living proof, every single one of us, I believe, or most of us, are living proof that we can recover, that we can make a positive change in our lives. And we all have a story, and you never know who it can inspire to change when you change their lives for the better too. So thank y'all. I appreciate it. If there's any questions that anybody has about the journey, I can answer a few questions.
What's your favorite place that you visited so far?
Cape Flattery, Washington, that most northwestern point. It's a tribal area. It's called the McCall tribe. It's a dry reservation, no alcohol, no drugs or anything like that. And it's so separated from the world. It seems like it's like 20 miles down a road from the next town, out in the middle of nowhere. The people are amazing. I learned that a lot of people start new traditions. In the modern world, new traditions are started all the time. These people keep those old traditions alive. And then every year they celebrate their thing. It's called the McCall Day. So I was able to visit last year. I walked up there. They're like, dude, you got to come back to our McCall Days in a couple weeks. So I went back up to celebrate with them. This year, me and my girlfriend just flew up and just spent her birthday up there for their 100th year celebration. They're just some amazing people. It's really hard to explain. It's just kind of spiritual place, you know what I mean?
On average, how much do you walk per day, per week?
So the averages vary quite a bit. I'd say my biggest average for a long time was probably like 22 miles a day. Right now it's probably closer to 15. Once I hit the desert, there's going to be a week period that the average will probably be 30 miles, just to get to the next town. So, so I got an 89-mile stretch coming up from Amboy to Prim. I think I got some people that are going to come out and do some support vehicling and stuff just to make sure I'm all right out there. Hopefully I don't get bit by no snakes or nothing. Yes, sir.
What do you got in your car? How much does that thing weigh for you?
So when I first started, I had a lot more. I learned how to go. I have a power station, so on the top of the cart I have a bin that has a power station, and then I have a solar panel I can charge at that power station will charge the phone like 20 times or more. So it's a really good power pack. I got my bear mace, got a couple knives, got a bullhorn now. I got a bin full of clothes, a bin with some hygiene stuff. I have a blow-up mattress for my tent. I got a tent. I got a sleeping bag. I got a pair of rain boots. I got an extra pair of shoes. A tarp to go over my stuff in case I need it, and a couple little tools and stuff like that. Extra hygiene. Pretty light.
What, pretty light?
Yeah.
All right.
I did
see
do a
what
YouTube
light.
video. I just put up a YouTube video.
Yeah.
Yesterday with all the supplies. They're all laid out on my bed, and like, yeah, all this fits into that cart. But I mean, that's pretty much the main supplies. I have a little shovel too, so a little chair.
I got you.
Yeah. Pretty supplied. If I had a garden, bro, I could live out there for the rest of my life. Out of that cart for sure.
How long does the pair of shoes last?
So I try to be conscious to change them out between 500 and 600 miles. I think I have done like 700-800 miles in a pair of shoes, and I didn't realize how bad the insides had gotten. This was like 2 weeks ago last year, and it shredded my whole toe like so bad I had to stop for a week and order new shoes. And at that point I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try to be conscious to change it every 500 miles. There's been shoes that I've only done 100 miles, like I don't like these, I'm gonna change them out. But as of right now, ultra running shoes are my favorite. I'll always get them. I'm trying to get sponsored, and I try to put 500 to 600 miles on them.
What's like the most interesting event that's happened to you in the long run?
Most interesting event? So I've had a couple of them. So me, I'm still addicted to adrenaline. I just chase it in healthier ways than the old lifestyle I used to live. But I was walking through Moab, Utah, and somebody reached out and offered me a tandem base jump, so I got to jump off 400-foot cliff attached to somebody with a parachute. And then the next month I went back and did it again. But when it comes to the mental health and recovery, I've had two very, very special moments. Has anybody ever seen the movie Joe Bell on Netflix about Mark Wahlberg as the dad that walks across America? If you're not familiar with it, there's a son who ends up like coming out at like 12 years old, joining the cheerleading squad, getting picked on and bullied that he hangs himself on the school yard. His dad ends up going to walk from LaGrande, Oregon to New York just to spread awareness about bullying because of that situation. In Colorado, on like this one of the same routes I was walking, I think, Colorado, and this was in 2013, early in the morning. I think it was still dark out. A truck driver fell asleep at the wheel, hit him, and killed him. So I guess Mark Wahlberg made a movie playing the father. So like 2 days before I got to LaGrande, Oregon, somebody asked me if I'd seen the movie. I was like, yeah, I've seen it like twice. And they were like, this is where it started out in LaGrande, Oregon. So I put a post on Facebook. I was like, I don't know if anybody's familiar with that movie, but I heard the families from out here. I would love to be able to connect and share my story with them. A lady that had been like married into the family and divorced out, but still friends with the family, reaches out. She was like, I know the mom, I know the son, but I might be able to get in contact with the mom, but she might be busy. She's like, the son's really private, he probably won't. Very next day I got a phone call from the son. He took me out to dinner, got to share a story about their actual family, so that was really cool. Another really, really incredible experience is I only count the days I walk on the days I walk. So even though I started January 1st, 2022, I've had setbacks. I had a surgery that stopped me for 2 months and all that different types of stuff. But today, when I walk today, I'm on day 578. Day 500 of the journey, I timed it out on my 31st birthday, March 30th this year. I walked across the Golden Gate Bridge with a group of people, but one of the people that came and walked with me was one of the last people to actually survive jumping off of the Golden Gate Bridge. I think 18 to 1900 people have jumped off and died. Only like 39 or 40 have actually survived, and he was one of them. So he came out and walked with me, and that was another super special experience and event that happened.
Anybody else have questions?
Are you in a tent or is that?
I'm probably in a hotel more than a tent, but I feel like when I hit the desert, that's going to change. The first half of the journey, I was in a tent all of the time. In Alabama, I had got a hernia that I ended up walking to Colorado with. It got so bad I had to get surgery. Having that surgery and stopping for 2 months put me picking back up one day, 209, November 9th in Manitou Springs, Colorado. Very next day, being from Florida, doesn't snow there. The very next day, I saw snowfall in the sky for the first time, so I had to walk through the Rockies in Colorado, and people wouldn't let me tent. I'd be like, all right, guys, I'm gonna go find a place to camp. And they're like, please don't camp. Like, it's gonna be terrible for you. And from doing that, I learned to find groups on social media that correlate with the counties and towns that I will be going through, and I joined those groups way before I ever get there. Like, I'm already in groups in like Nevada and stuff in New Mexico, just to share my journey and kind of let people know before I'm coming, to kind of promote what I'm doing before I get there. Because of that, a lot of people reach out and bless me with cool opportunities and stuff like that. People offer their houses all the time. I don't do shared lodging anymore, for the fact that the social media has grown so much and there's always somebody to respond to or something to do, that I love conversating with people. It's being at somebody's house, sometimes it gets exciting, and I don't get any of my own downtime. So I kind of respectfully decline those offers. I'd rather tent somebody's yard. But there's going to be some tenting coming up in this desert. That'll be fun. For sure.
Is there a place you haven't been to yet that you're looking forward to going to?
Grand Canyon. Yeah, I'll be walking to the Grand Canyon, and then I'm going to go to Forrest Gump Point, too, in the Monument Valley, so that's going to be cool. I got the Forrest Gump outfit, so I'm going to rock that out there. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Definitely looking forward to that. I'm excited to see the East Coast, too. Being from Florida, I've never been higher than North Carolina. And just to walk up all that, to see that. I know it's not going to be the West Coast. I know the West Coast is the best coast, but but I'm excited to see what some of that stuff up there as well. And being from Florida my whole life, I've never been to Miami or down south, so I do want to see the clear waters down there. Excited about that. I think I'm going to go cage diving with sharks if I can plan it. But Grand Canyon, I'm so excited about the Grand Canyon.
Two questions. How did you and your girlfriend meet, and did she ever go on walks with you?
So she don't walk. She don't like my kind of walking. But I met walking through her city. I was in her area for a couple days. It was one of those, like, on my personal page, not even my other page. It was like the same person liking every post. I'm like, who is this cute chick? Kind of thing. And then it was a little bit later, there was a friend request, and like after like so long of the accepting, there was a message like, hey, you want to meet up, say hey in the morning, talk for like a few minutes, and then I ended up heading to the Great Salt Plains in Jed, Oklahoma, which was just like 20-30 minute drive from her house. She came out and saw me a couple times, came and saw me in Kansas a couple times. That's kind of how it started. And we do meet up here and there. We just both flew to Washington and went up to Cape Flattery for her birthday. She's been to Colorado with me for her birthday before. We both have been base jumping and skydiving in Moab, 2 different trips where she flew out there. So yeah, we meet up here and there. And as I start going these southern states back across, she can take more road trips down to me. One of the other differences is now I'm employed by social media, so Facebook does send me a little check every month. And I still use the support of people to help me take care of the journey itself, but I've been able to take care of some of my personal stuff with those checks. So my license was suspended for 10 years, and I owed so much money, but I've been able to pay that off. I even flew back to Oklahoma and went and took the test, paid off my license, got my license reinstated in May. So even though I'm still walking, don't get me wrong, but now I can drive again. So if I have to get a rental car or want to take a break as we're closer, maybe me and her can even meet up at a place a little bit closer, but nothing over a 10-hour drive. Just to kind of respect her wishes. Question? Yes.
You ever had any problem with animals?
Not any animals. My longest dog chase was like my second month on the journey, and it was a 3-legged dog that chased me for like a mile. I had one pit bull that jumped trying to bite me, and I just had my cart. I just kept spinning it around, and after just yelling over and over that I didn't want to kill their dog, but I had bear mace and I would spray it, the dog just ran away. So, no, I've had to use bear mace on a human, but not an animal. Yeah, bad situation in a hotel room. Somebody was being super disrespectful, and just bad situation.
What's your social media say?
So I have a few business cards that I'm gonna leave with y'all. They have all the social media, but almost everything revolves under a walking testimony.
How's your relationship with your family now?
Amazing. So I just flew home for Christmas and the holidays and New Year's. Just been with my family. Oh wait, no, I just flew back like in August too. Spent some time with them. They're doing everything's great. And my sister, so that's cool. My sister lives in San Diego. Last time I saw her was in 2016, right after I got out of prison the first time, where she was going through my messages. I had left my laptop at home open, and she walks into a church and slaps the glasses off my face in front of everybody. That was the last time I had seen her until walking to San Diego where she lives. I hadn't seen her in 8 years. And just reconnected with her recently. I camped in her backyard actually for a few weeks because she doesn't have AC, so it was more comfortable in the tent. But no, everything is good with me and my family, even with my sister, and that was a big one that I wasn't sure. Like the night she got married in 2012, I stole her checkbook and took all the money. I was a scumbag in my family for a very long time, so really cool that we were able to reconnect. She helped me on the journey, even picked me up a couple times, brought me back and forth, hooked me up with some food. Showed me what a California burrito is. Yeah, that's good stuff. So yeah, relationships good with my family. I'm so thankful for that. I'm definitely a believer in restoration of that, especially after the stuff that happened to me, my dad on my property. So.
Do you have a job, like actual like a job or?
Oh, I pay taxes for Facebook. I'm employed by Facebook. That's my job. But I also sell merchandise, and I have a website that has clothes and stuff for sale, so there's other ways to make money as well to help support myself.
What's your goal once you're done walking to the 4 corners?
So after the 4 corners, my next goal is to do 100 miles on each continent. And then I want to hike the Triple Crown, which is the Appalachian Trail, the Pacific Crest Trail, and the Continental Divide. So that's like that's like my 5 to 7 year goal. So we'll see what happens. I just gotta kind of make it through this safely, which Lord willing I will. Yes.
What would you say to those in here that don't think they can make it? Say so.
Well, I'm living proof that we can make it. I shouldn't be here. I know many other people shouldn't be here. We can. For the ones that are struggling, you have to love yourself. You gotta be kind to yourselves. You can't beat yourselves up when bad things happen. You just gotta know that you can move forward. It's about it's a daily process, but literally kind of the journey, one foot in front of the other. It's step by step. It literally is step by step. Having people that you care about, or that love and care about you around you, having a good group of people around you. But the biggest thing is truly wanting it, not the idea of wanting it and everything that comes with it. Not just putting on the show to make it look good, but really wanting it and to better yourself. I think the biggest thing is sometimes people do it for their kids or for this, for that. All that is so important, but doing it for yourself is the biggest thing, because that's when you know you want to, for you, and that's the biggest thing. Anybody struggling with any mental health issues or just have a hard time being here, once again, like I said earlier, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart, I don't have to know you in person to tell you that I love you and I care about you, and I do mean that. There's too many people that feel hopeless, that don't feel like nobody loves or cares about them. Sometimes people search for that in the people that are directly with them, and there's not always love in those places. There's a lot of snakes in those places right next to you. Sometimes screw family over. Love comes in different types of ways, but you gotta love yourselves and love each other. Recovery is possible. We do recover. I know a bunch of people all over the United States that I've met and shared amazing recovery stories with. The cool thing about people in recovery, so I know a lot of people that have worked 9 to 5s their whole lives, never been in trouble with the law or anything like that, still struggle paycheck to paycheck. I know a lot of people in recovery that just got out of prison within the last 5 years and own their own businesses and are flourishing. And I had to think about why that happens. But then it hit me with an epiphany one day that to have that addiction or to have that drive to get that next fix by any means necessary, that's just a whole drive that you got in your heart that you can't get rid of. But you can erase a negative way of doing it and replace it with a positive way of doing it. Instead of putting into, I gotta go get that next fix, I'm gonna rob, I'm gonna hurt, I'm gonna do whatever to get that next fix, I gotta have it, because I gotta get off that next rush, and put it into my job, my career, my future, my family, my friends, everything that comes in the future, because that drive is there, just what are you putting it into? We're go-getters, we can go chase it, we can go get it, but we don't gotta go get the drug, we don't gotta go get that depression, that addiction, that stuff that's literally taking the people that we love and care about. We can chase the positive things. Yeah, it comes with a more structured lifestyle, and yeah, that can be harder, but all that other stuff, you ever been to prison? How structured is that? Those people make you line up to walk to go get your food. They tell you when you're waking up, when the lights are going on, when they're going off, all of that. And I don't like that. Apparently I liked it for way too long, 11 times in county jail and twice in prison.
So, like, you just talked about how you got sober, you got the, was it 5.5 years or 4.5 years?
5.5 years next month.
5.5 years. So, was there a process like going to meetings and working response, or was it just the walking and got tired of the life you were living?
So me, I just kind of got tired of the life I was living, and I put it all into working out. The facility I was at, they might have had groups, but I didn't know if they had any groups. AA, NA, and the groups weren't really a part of my recovery, because during my addiction, I used to be court ordered to those programs and then get high in the parking lots afterwards. Now it would be different if I go, and I do go speak in those programs, but they weren't an actual part of my life. The accountability, the camaraderie, having people, the sponsors, and the connection, the community is absolutely amazing. But once again, if you don't want it for yourself, even going to those meetings won't change you, won't do it for you. You have to want it for yourself. Because I know a lot of people that go to those programs and then go get drunk or high afterwards, you know what I'm saying, whether they're court ordered or not. Some people just want their face to be seen in those programs. Whether you're in a program or not, if you really want it for yourself, you'll find a way to make it work. And I'm a firm believer in that. But having the tools and the resources and having people that can help reintegrate into society and how to do that is absolutely important. It really is. Yes?
Anyone, therapy, or you take medicine for depression, or?
No, ma'am. I've actually never been diagnosed with anything like that. No, I just work out, just walking. So they say there's healing in movement. I've also found out that it is scientifically proven that nature and exercise both play a positive role in mental health. I think you got to have a good positive mental health for a good positive recovery. Me, and don't get me wrong, I'm on social media. I got 2 phones and I'm always looking at them, but I'm in nature getting exercise just as much as I'm on that social media. I get that balance that a lot of people don't get. I highly encourage, like, go look at a tree, go put your feet in some sand or some grass. Ground yourself more. There really is qualities that is a positive thing and a positive feeling that can't help. Yes?
Do you like walking by yourself?
I do. I always do open invites for people to come walk with me, and I love it when people do come walk with me, but it does get a little bit difficult because I like to be on my own pace, and I do walk really fast. And I've had people come walk with me, they're like, dude, you're killing me. But then I've had some of the most unexpected. I had an older lady one time, like, passing me walking. I'm like, you are getting it, girl. What's up? I wish I could. You need to walk all the way across it. But I do enjoy it by myself. But most of the time, if I have reception, I'm live streaming, and I got my music in. I'm just jamming out, having a good old time. Yeah.
You mentioned that you had some characteristics that you know didn't serve you, or you said I was okay about things, I had anger issues. What advice would you give to people who, like, may not even be aware of things that harm their sobriety? And how did you find out, like, that was something you wanted to change?
So it it's so funny. I was reading this book, and it was called Mind is the Master. It was this giant book. It was this author, his name's James Allen, philosophical writer, late 1800s, early 1900s. And this book, it wasn't like you read it one page. You could flip anywhere, and there was something to read, a positive sentence or paragraph or something somewhere. But the way they talked back then, I had to have a dictionary right next to me for every paragraph that I read for all these big words. But I came across a word that I had heard before, and it was nobility. And when I think of the word nobility, I think of like the medieval, like the knights, army, like swords and all of that when I think of noble. But for some reason, something told me to look this word up in the dictionary. Nobility in the dictionary came out as possessing excellent qualities and being free of pettiness. So when I saw that, I was like, whoa. I was like, dang, like I want to be noble, you know. But I'm a petty person. So, and this is why I learned that tenfold is a real thing. So I was like, I have to be conscious to not be petty anymore. And this is in prison. So like prison, the commodity is coffee in prison. So, you know, people go around if they don't have their own, hey, can I get a cup of coffee, whatever. So boils down, I got my bag of coffee, I'm down to my last cup of coffee. Somebody wants a cup of coffee. Hey bro, I'm down to my last cup of coffee. I can't give it to you. They walk away and I immediately think, but how much coffee have you given out? You know you can go to anybody. Who sent you this money and did you deserve it? No. People on the outside just trying to take care of me, but I put myself in there. They didn't have to send me a dime. So it's like, hey bro, I was being petty. Here's that last cup of coffee. I know I'm gonna be all right. Ooh, a little bit later, hey bro, they happened to give me 2 bags of coffee. Here's a bag of coffee, free. And different things like that just started happening left and right. And then I realized the less petty I am, the more blessed I am. When your heart and your mind is in the right place, things pay off a lot better. But it has to be with integrity, doing the right thing when nobody's looking as well. We were talking about integrity earlier. But when you want to do the right thing, when you want to be less petty, when people don't get along enough, people are so angry and argue about all these little things, but if people just came together, how many people would really go without? They really wouldn't if everybody came together and realized that we're all just human, and at the end of the day, the only thing guaranteed in any of our lives is death. Why bring it on anybody sooner than later? Being free. And don't get me wrong, I can still be petty. It's a daily process to work on, just like a recovery or anything else. It's something I have to work on daily. But just the little things, get worked up about the little things that don't matter. There's so much more going on in the world. When I was down for my hernia surgery, I went and saw my grandma in South Carolina on my way back to Alabama to pick up. I hadn't seen her in over a decade, and it was on her birthday. And I snapped on my grandma. I cussed her out and everything. It was completely wrong of me. And this is since I've been on this journey. And it was because my aunt was telling me about how she left like a glass of milk or something on the floor and wouldn't pick it up for like 2 weeks or something like that before we had there was a whole bunch of that came to it, but I ended up like getting onto my grandma, and at that point it was right after all the bombing in Ukraine, that freshness had happened with that. And I was like, you know how many people are being killed and displaced because grown men are having a problem right now? You can't pick up a glass of milk and you're physically capable? How petty is that? Taking care of ourselves, taking care of each other in the process, taking care of the little things to make the whole bigger picture just flow a little bit better. I shouldn't have never talked to my grandma like that, but she thanked me afterwards for saying it. But at the end of the day, it was such a petty thing for her to leave that cup there. It was a petty thing for me to act the way I did, but being free of pettiness goes a long way. I'll never be completely free of it, but doing the right thing for the right reasons, not expecting it in return, will pay off. I don't know if that answers your question correctly.
No other questions? Well, again, thank you.
Thank you
so much for coming here.